Okay, I have 7 p.m. If you all can find a seat, well, actually, you don't even need to find a seat because the first thing we're going to do to open our meeting is say the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you join us for that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening again. Tonight we are pleased to recognize numerous outstanding students and schools. 6 students with perfect ACT scores and state sports champions from South High School. So first I'd like to welcome Dr. Kevin Beckner, our Assistant Superintendent of Teaching, Learning, and Accountability.
Well, good evening, President Todd, Vice President Hopper, members of the board, Dr. Marty and Mrs. Stover. It's my pleasure to introduce our students who have earned a perfect ACT score. And as you're coming up to the front, please know that we have six outstanding students who have earned the highest possible score on the ACT. While nationally, the actual number of students varies from year to year on how many students earn that perfect score. Nationally, it's fewer than 1% of students earn that top score. In the U.S. Class of 2024, we had 3,000 students approximately nationwide out of 1.4 million. So it's quite an honor and quite an accomplishment. The ACT consists of tests in English, mathematics, reading, and science, each scored on a 1 through 36 scale, and those are averaged together to come up with the student's composite score. The ACT is measuring curriculum, what students have learned in school. So students who earn a 36 have likely mastered all of the skills and knowledge they need to succeed in first-year college courses and core subject areas. And of course, the ACT is accepted by all major four-year colleges and universities across the U.S. And students, I believe we have one student with us, but we'll read the names of all of our perfect ACT students. If you'll come forward when your name is called. And our student who is here from West High, Soham Ray. Congratulations, Soham. While Soham finishes shaking hands, I'll just read the names of the other students so we can congratulate them even though they're not here. From Central High, Serena Hung, Aiden Moon. From South High, Allison Horseman. And also from West High, Luke Fisher and Anish Jindal. Congratulations to all of these outstanding students.
Next, please welcome Corey Johnson. Activities and...
Hold on, we do have a late addition who's here in person. Oh, Serena is here from Central High. Serena, congratulations, and thank you for being here.
Okay, any other perfect ACT scores?
Those are all.
All right, thank you. Next, please welcome Corey Johnson, our Athletics and Activities Director, to announce Parkway's state sports champions.
Good evening. On behalf of the board and Dr. Marty, it's an honor to recognize our state champions this year from our winter and from our spring sports seasons. So tonight we have state champion members from the South Girls Swim Team, South Boys Wrestling Team, South Girls Track Team, North Boys Track Team, and Central's Boys Track Team. The athlete that is present, I will announce them first, and then we'll go back and touch on the state champions that could not make it. So from Central High track team, head coach, Steve Warren, who's one of our longest standing coaches in the district. He's been coaching almost 45 years. And then his assistant who's with us today, Doug Hilbert, and our state champion, Stanley Brown, if you could come up. Stanley's a senior. This year, he was the Class 4 MSHSAA state champion in the 200 meters. Stanley ran an unbelievable top 5 state all-time blazing time to finish his 200 meters in 21.22 seconds. Again, one of the fastest times that's ever been ran in the state history. Stanley also led the team to a second place overall finish. Stanley maintains a 3.0 GPA, and he will be attending Maryville in the fall on a track scholarship. So congratulations, Stanley. Our other state champions who could not be present, North High Boys Track Team, head coach Jason Crawford. We had senior Colin Griffin, who was the Class 4 300-meter hurdle champion. He won this event in a time of 37.9 seconds, over half a second faster than the second place finisher. He also led North to placing right behind Central as a team in third place overall. Colin actually tried to make it here, but he'll be attending SEMO in the fall on a football and track scholarship, and he's already at football practice, so he could not make it back today. Now, our South champions, starting off with head coach Bob Klebo with South Girls Track. We have senior Josie Portel. She is the Michigan State champion in the 100-meter para, 200-meter para, 400-meter para, and also 800-meter para. Not only did she win all four, though, she's won all four of them 3 years in a row. So she's the three-time state champion. So she's amazing. She maintains a 4.16 GPA, and she is actually already at the University of Illinois, where she will actually play basketball in the fall. So she has already left for college. Our winter state champion is sophomore Cameron Duffield, and Cameron won the Class 5 state champion in wrestling. He was the 138-pound champion. He defeated his opponent 28-8, and he had an impressive 42 victories this year as a sophomore, and he was actually runner-up as a freshman. So we have a lot of great things on the horizon for Cameron, so we're looking forward to his future in wrestling. And last but not least, with girls swim at South, and Coach Mathis, state champion junior Alexis Cook. She was the Class 2 200-yard freestyle and 500-yard freestyle champion. She won the 200 in a time of 1 minute and 50 seconds, and the 500-yard free in a time of 4 minutes and 51 seconds. Alexis has a GPA of 4.2, and she'll be attending Mizzou after she finishes her senior year and graduates to swim there. And she was also runner-up in the 200-meter last year. So some great champions we have this year. In closing, we're proud of our state champions, proud of their accomplishments, their leadership and everything they've done. I'd like to say good luck to our seniors, and then to just a great thank you to all of our parents. We couldn't do this without you. Your support, time, and encouragement throughout the year. Our coaches really appreciate it, and it really helps support the teams and our athletes. Thank you.
Next, please welcome Andy Dickerson, Director of Communications, and Eddie Madison, Coordinator of Health and PE, to introduce Parkway's Digital Wellness Contest winners.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Marty, in your final meeting, that feels strange to say, and Ms. Stover. This evening, I'm proud to recognize 9 creative and talented Parkway High School students who won the Parkway Digital Wellness Marketing Contest. You might be wondering what that is. So as you're aware, Parkway teachers and administrators have spent the last year researching and developing new cell phone guidelines for our students and what that looks like for their use in school. During our extensive research on cell phone use, one of the things that we heard strongly from parents and teachers and even our students is that they could use more digital wellness resources to learn healthier technology habits that will support them not just during the school day, but beyond the school day. So with that important goal in mind, this spring we launched the Parkway Digital Wellness Marketing Contest. Students were invited to submit a peer-focused marketing campaign. Their campaign objective was to educate other high school students on the importance of digital wellness, how to balance media and well-being, and provide actionable tips to their peers on managing personal technology use. We're proud to say over 50 Parkway students representing all 4 of our high schools participated in the contest. They provided us with marketing campaign ideas that were creative, research-based, and frankly, reading through all of them, inspiring. So yet again, we're reminded that students really can help us develop real-world solutions to challenges when we give them the opportunity. So we have invited those students to continue working with us as we go into this school year and following years as we develop digital wellness resources for them and their peers. This contest would not have been possible without the support of Eddie Madison, our coordinator of health and PE, and our high school wellness leaders. Thanks for your partnership, Eddie, and now I will invite Eddie up to recognize the winners of our contest.
Thank you, Annie. As you know, our buildings are equipped with one student wellness leader, and those student wellness leaders work with teams of students and faculty to kind of come up with ways to promote wellness within their building. This contest put a focus on our 4 high schools, so thank you to Becky Samardzic, Tommy Rowe, and Michelle Dempsey for promoting the contest and then digging in and doing some of the contest grading, I guess. With over 50, a little bit extra on their plate, but they were willing to dig in and do that. And so also want to thank the Parkway Alumni Association for sponsoring this wellness challenge and providing cash prizes to the top 3. The third place winner received $100, second place $200, and first place received $300. And we do have some of our winners from North High here today, but I will start with third place. Third place had a campaign slogan of "Life's Happening, Are You Watching?" And that was Kaylin, Skylar, and Jazra from South High. They will receive $100. Second place winners were from West High. That was Justin Lutz. His campaign slogan was "Less Screen, More Seen." And the winner of the campaign with a campaign slogan of "Disconnect to Reconnect" were 5 students from North High School. Elena, Caitlin, and Max could not be here, but we do have Gemma and Elizabeth here to represent North High and the winners.
We now have one final special recognition. If you'd please welcome St. Louis County Councilman Mark Carter.
So good evening. It's my honor to represent District 7, which is West St. Louis County, and hopefully if she turns up here, not here, okay. My cohort on the council, Gretchen Bangert, who represents District 2, which is around the Parkway North area, and we put together a resolution and sponsored it to recognize Dr. Marty on his last meeting and a great retirement. So I won't read, I think some of these you probably know of all his great accomplishments. But a couple things I wanted to point out is right after I got on the council, which was about 2015, I met Mr. Marty, I'll call him Marty, and we started talking about the drugs in the schools. And we started talking about that and the prevalence of that in some schools. And we put together, with his guidance and the staff's guidance, we put together a opiate task force, and we had meetings and we had presentations, if you remember that, at Parkway Central on drugs in the schools and how parents could understand that, what's going on, how they can talk to their kids about drugs and things like that. And we did that twice, and I think we had a pretty good turnout for that, and we got that message out to the community. So that was the first time Dr. Marty and I got together on something. And then later on, we were working on another project which dealt with the labeling of our schools. And if you noticed, a lot of our schools have numbers on the windows for identifying from the outside for police and first responders to be able to go into those rooms and be able to identify the classrooms, and then the color codes in the hallway and around the schools. And Parkway was the first adopter of that in the St. Louis County region because of Dr. Marty's leadership. And we used Highcroft School as an example, and we were able to bring the media and other school districts through to say, this is what this should look like. And I think it still stands as a model for that. So without further ado, I'll read just the last section here. It says, the county council extends a sincere appreciation to Dr. Keith Marty for his vision, compassion, and tireless dedication to public education, which has left an enduring legacy that will inspire students, educators, and our community for a generation to come. Congratulates him and wishes him joy, rest, and a new adventure with his family for many years to come. And so I will also mention that you rate quite high with our with our council, because you got all 7 of us to agree to one thing. So we all signed it. So congratulations, Dr. Marty.
I just want to say that Mr. Harder, Mark Harder, has just been a great partner. I really appreciate his work on behalf of schools. He's certainly, if you know and follow our county council, you know he's a very, very strong advocate of really improving our county, but he has a real passion for our schools and working with us. And I think I speak on behalf of our board and other superintendents area that really appreciate his concern about student safety, whether that was in the opioid era, and then again with some of the work, and you can see our signage as a result of that. And Mark doesn't just come up with ideas, he works with us and comes to meetings, and I really appreciate it. So I'm very honored by this proclamation and by this honor resolution, I should say. And Mark, continue partnering with us. I know that Dr. Schneider will appreciate the partnership that we've enjoyed and going forth. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, Annie, sir. What's that? Oh, I'm coming through.
Congratulations again to all of our students who are honored tonight, as well as Dr. Marty. At this time, we'll take a brief recess and resume the meeting shortly. Yeah, you're welcome to stay. We're going to resume our meeting here. So you are welcome to stay, but we will resume our meeting at this time. Let's see, next up on our agenda is 7.0, additions, corrections, and modifications to the agenda. Those include 7.01, addendum to agenda item 11.06, approval of personnel items, and 7.02, addition of agenda item 11.33, approval of Parkway TIF reimbursement with the city of Chesterfield. Tonight, looks like we have no citizen speakers. So next up is the approval of our agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda? The agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of Education is scheduled for June 11th, 2025.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. The next regular board meeting will take place on Wednesday, August 6th, 2025, beginning at 7 p.m. here at the Parkway Welcome Center. Next, we have board and superintendent reports.
Well, Dr. Marty's last board meeting. How long should our speeches be? How long can we go on for? We've had opportunities already to meet different ways to celebrate your tenure here. And I'll just say, I hope you're proud of what you've done, both academically, financially, and the community in this district. So as both my kids coming through your tenure, I am very grateful for all your work in the Parkway and wish you the very best.
I echo Matt's sentiments. We had graduations, and I was a part of your last graduation for Parkway Central. And there's not a single person I have met that does not love what you have done for Parkway. As a lifelong Parkway resident, as being on the board for a little over 3 years, it has been an honor and a privilege to work with you and to see what you've done for the district, and wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah, and just to join the others, I was thinking, we were talking a little bit earlier about, the party we hosted at my house. So I started getting involved with the Parkway Alumni Association right about the same time when Dr. Marty was hired. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, I'm never going to meet him. I have to remember his name, he's big superintendent and all that stuff. And very quickly, had the opportunity to start working with him, when I became the president. And I can remember, we were talking this morning, I can remember one of the first times we were doing a kickoff for the school year at Parkway Central High School. It was big, rah, get the teachers all excited for the school year. And I remember, I don't know if it was Nikki or somebody introduced me to you. You came right up, introduced yourself. We started talking about family and background and going to school and all that. And I was just really impressed by, here's the superintendent of Parkway, coming up and this carried on conversation. And since then, we've obviously had a lot of opportunities to work together and different things with steering and all that. So it's been great. The leadership you brought to the district is amazing, and I wish you all the best and congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, John.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. It's been great working with you. Congratulations.
Usually people say they're going to keep it short, but it doesn't work out that way. So last month, Dr. Marty was honored at 4 separate ceremonies, one at each high school, but that wasn't enough. Marty Palooza continues tonight as we say farewell one more time at Dr. Marty's final school board meeting. Rather than doing it contemporaneously, I'm kind of using my speech at one of those events, so if it sounds familiar, I apologize. But as a school board member, the most common question I'm asked is, do you get paid to do this? And the answer, of course, is no, which usually prompts the second most common question, why do you want to serve on the school board? And each board member's answer is different, but serving with Dr. Marty has always been part of my response. Keith Marty is a lot of things. He's an educator, an administrator, but above all else, he's a leader. For 14 years, he's guided Parkway and empowered our faculty and students to achievements too numerous to list. It's been an era of prestige and success for our students and staff, and while Keith would be the first person to tell you the credit belongs to others, his leadership has created a foundation for all of us to build on. Personally, I've learned a great deal from Dr. Marty. Each year, we attend the Missouri School Board Association Conference in Kansas City, and for the last several, I've driven Dr. Marty to the event. The car trip is by far the most educational part of the weekend for me. He doesn't stop talking the whole ride, other than for the occasional nap, and covers a myriad of subjects: education, World War II, farming practices in Wisconsin, parenting, Packers football, you name it. As excited as I am to welcome Dr. Schneider and begin a new era in Parkway, I'm going to miss those rides. I'm going to miss working with Dr. Marty. It's been a pleasure to serve Parkway with you. I'm honored to be your colleague, but above all else, I'm grateful to be your friend.
Gee, I don't know how to follow that. I will just say, because this has been the longest retirement farewell of anyone I've ever known, not much more can really be said, but Mr. Seltzer just proved me wrong there. I feel very endeared to you over the years because of the number of things that we've been through together. We haven't always agreed, but we have always respected each other's opinion and viewpoint and have been able to not hold a grudge and still learn from our experiences together. And I feel that it's vitally important that a board have a very good relationship with its superintendent, and I feel that we have had that. And I greatly admire your leadership, your supervisory skills that you've had for everyone here, and the dedication that you have brought to this school district is unparalleled. And I would like to give a shout out and a big thank you also to Dee Dee, your wife. I don't think any of us sitting here can do what we do without a supportive spouse. And she has allowed the opportunity for you to be the person that you are here for the Parkway School District. And her dedication to you and the support of this district and what you do, I mean, you are at everything. And that's what I tell everybody. He's at everything, musicals, football games, basketball games, you're always there. And for that, we are greatly appreciative. You may not realize how tired you're really going to be until your first day you can sleep in. But I just greatly appreciate everything that you have brought to the school district and to me personally. And I wish you nothing but the best. And we give you back to your family so that they can spend more time with the loving, caring person that you are and the dedication that I know you have to your family as well. So thank you for everything, and I wish you all the best.
Well, I'm not sure how to follow that. I should have had you go last. But I echo the sentiments of all of my fellow board members. It's been an honor to serve alongside of you in several buildings, not just here in this building. But I did have a little something prepared as well, Kevin, so you're not the only one. A little poem. Once upon a time, there was a boy from Wisconsin. His name was Keith Marty. He was no Jan Janssen. He couldn't carry a tune, but he could read and write. So he focused on history, and that was all right. On the court, he was Mad Dog and showed off his skills, but he soon realized that hoops wouldn't pay the bills. He knew how to teach and he knew how to lead, so he went back to school to be the teacher kids need. He worked his way up, never tiring along the way, all while raising a family the Keith Marty way. He came to St. Louis to continue his path. He shook things up, even with math. His challenges were many, and not all concurred, so he worked hard to listen and respect all he heard. But he led from the heart and put others first. His focus was students and improving their worth. He valued employees and the contributions they made, and he often sent notes every time they got paid. He has delivered his sermon hundreds of times, all with the goal of keeping Parkway shining bright. He has left a legacy so many admire, and his efforts will continue to encourage and inspire. Parkway is greater for the contributions he made, and we thank him and celebrate him on this day. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you. Wow. Well, thank you. Well, as my wife would say, aren't I getting tired of this farewell? And I'm just amazed that you keep talking and saying more. But I will just say first to the board members, I think I've told a lot of you, and I've said that I've been so blessed to work with a board that really values students first, and I've had that before some of you were on the board, and even when I first came, And one of the things that I remember saying to the boards, and I think I said to some of you, that the superintendent-board relationship is very, very important. And it's like a marriage. So your success depends on me, and my success depends on you. And I think we've really played that out. I was out with some retirees on Saturday night. Some retired superintendents took me, and they're envious of the relationship. They said, you know, they didn't last as long as me, and they said part of it was they didn't have a board that we have here in Parkway. So thank you sincerely. Your expressions tonight have touched me, really have. But just know how much I've appreciated the relationship that you've had with me, but also with our district as a whole, with our SAP members, and your work is really so appreciated. I've told Dr. Schneider that she doesn't quite know yet what she's getting into, and there'll be issues and challenges. But I think is going to be an amazing superintendent. You've done a great job, and I think having someone who I think Parkway is a big district, but I found that people really appreciate relationships and kind of enjoy the jovial nature of getting to know one another and working together. It's serious work, but I think we need to also enjoy one another. So I truly thank you for your comments. I've been overwhelmed. Each of you, in your own way, express it. And what a poem! I didn't know you're a poet, Jeff. But thank each of you. And I just want to say publicly again, also, those folks back there who, Melissa got to spend a couple of days with them this week, and she told me today, she goes, oh my gosh, do I have a team? And I said, you sure do. You have a wonderful team. We have wonderful leaders in the district, community members who care deeply. We may not always agree on issues, but I think over the years we've worked through issues with our community. Sometimes it took some time to get there, and I think I can just say, looking out and seeing Tom there, Tom is, we had some issues, and Tom is now aboard helping us, and so I appreciate people who have stepped up when we've got things to take care of, and so it's been a wonderful journey. I will say that, and I've mentioned this, 14 years ago, as I was going through the process, there were 4 or 5 times where I almost picked up the phone and called the search firm and said, I'm not going to keep, why do I want to go to St. Louis? Why do I want to leave a comfortable old district in suburban Milwaukee? Why would I do this? And it was my wife, to your credit about Dee Dee, she said, well, no, staying in there, see what this all means. Because I was like, why would I want to do this? Why would I want to go to this big district? I don't know anybody. And I think about the fact that if I would have made that call, I would have not known any different, I guess. But, oh my gosh, the relationships, the experiences, I've grown as a human being. And it's just been one of the highlights of my life. And I'm so pleased to be able to finish really feeling good about the work we've done together. And I appreciate all the comments, but it's a relationship with the board, the community as a whole, great other leaders, and I just can't say enough about. And if I'm choking up, I'm going to miss people. This is what I'm really worried about, and my wife recognizes that. So I might be sneaking around. I don't know. But I got to leave Melissa alone. Got to leave Dr. Schneider alone. She deserves it. But I really do care deeply, and I hope this board and Melissa and the community continues to work together. There'll be challenges. We know there'll be challenges, just like we faced. But keep working together. If I can just say to the board, keep supporting our teachers, our community as a whole, our students certainly, because you have done that. And welcome Dr. Schneider and give her a little grace, but hang in there, and you'll have a great relationship, and we'll continue to grow as a district. I see great things in the future in Parkway, whether it's continually thinking about facilities and the work that we have to continually moving forward with what students need in the future. We have a wonderful strategic plan, facility work, and there's a lot to look forward to. So I better stop talking, because I sometimes have a tendency to talk too much, but no. But thank you so much, board members, and I thank you all for what has been just a wonderful last year here, and this last couple of weeks have been marvelous. And then this person, how can I ever thank her enough for what she has done? I have a wonderful wife, and then I have a wonderful work wife. And Nikki has just been such a pleasure to work with, and I know that Dr. Schneider is going to rely on her to to continue on that great partnership as well. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I'll give you all a hug later.
Can't really have a board meeting now after that.
All right, yeah, we do have a little bit of business to conduct. Next up on our agenda is the consent agenda. We've all had an opportunity to review that, so may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented in the June 11th, 2025 board materials.
Second.
Anything to be pulled to action or closed? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Next up, we have the approval, your last approval of our 2025-2026 budget. So Carrie Nunn, CFO, please take it away.
All right, thank you. Good evening. I feel like I have to say something as well. You all said something so nice about Keith. I'm going to say that it has been a privilege to work with you for the last year, and I've never met a leader that has championed students and championed his people so much so, and I have felt so encouraged. And I'm jealous of my peers for getting to work with you longer than just a year. So I'm going to miss you, and again, I agree. I think Dr. Schneider will come in and do an amazing job, but I've been very thankful for the time that I've gotten to be with you, Keith. Thank you.
You've done a great job. Thank you.
So tonight, we just have I was with you last month, and we went through some details of our budget. And so tonight, we really just have the motion to approve our budget. And so there's just, you also all got a copy or a digital copy of our budget for next year. It's about 157 pages, and I want to shout out and say thank you to Nikki Odden and Don Trokey for really coming together to make this book a reality. And then also a big thank you to all of our administrators, all of SAT, and all of the hard work that went into this budget. Although, me and Don really work on the revenue piece of it, the expense side is really put together by a lot of leaders coming together and acknowledging what this school needs and putting those numbers together. So the Missouri, in Missouri, they require that we have a couple of components for our budget. So we have a budget message, and then you'll see the anticipated revenue, and then the proposed expenditures. And then we also have a general budget summary, and that really represents the executive summary portion of that book. And I know you're all going to read every single page of this 157-page book, but I really encourage, if nothing else, to really focus in on that executive summary. It's a very good summary of our budget for this upcoming year. So, do you have any questions for me tonight?
On page 107.
I was like, really? Okay, we'll turn there.
I don't think any of us do. It was very comprehensive. I haven't read all of it yet, but I've perused.
Got it.
I just appreciate the fact too that, well, you help us to understand this very lengthy process to begin with, and I greatly appreciate that. But I know that some questions were posed with some of our consent agenda items, and you had already put that in the budget, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think one of the traditions that we've had really strong leadership. Carrie's the third CFO I've worked with in Parkway, and we've had great leadership. And Carrie certainly continued that tradition. And I think, again, I've never seen a district put together a comprehensive budget book like Carrie's predecessors and now Carrie has done. And I think what's really healthy about that is, and Carrie's a good example, it's not just about numbers. It's about really backing up those numbers with stories. And so if you read that, there's a story here, and I think it's good for all of us to understand that it's not just about putting a budget together of numbers. It's about what does that numbers mean for staff and students and programs and things we're trying to continue. So great job, Carrie. Thank you. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
And I'll just add that the fact that we're in such great financial condition is a testament to you and your department and your predecessors.
Yeah.
But the fact that we have gotten to the point we are, and we haven't just rested on our laurels, we continue to try and find ways to save money and improve spending habits and practices. It's what we expect, and we're very proud of your department.
And may I add to that, some districts find themselves in financial disarray because of not being transparent and not dealing with the difficult issues at hand. And I greatly appreciate that we have the transparency here, we have the honesty here, and we have the ability to come together between the board and administration to talk about difficult decisions that need to be made with the budget or what our financial difficulties might be. And I know you're pulling together task forces in the future to look at some of those issues. So, you know, we cannot be a successful district without that. So thank you very much. I appreciate that and everyone's help in making sure that we're a transparent, honest district with our finances.
Thank you very much. So next, may I have a motion and a second that the Board of Education approve the 2025-2026 expenditure budget as presented by the administration in the amount of $378,168,000, with $107,948,384 to be expended from the general fund, $169,333,850 from the special revenue fund, $78,971,182 from the capital projects fund, and $21,914,584 from the debt service fund.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Hopper?
Yes?
Mr. Kilper?
Yes.
Ms. Matt Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Schindler?
Yes.
Mr. Seltzer?
Yes.
Mr. Spector?
Yes.
Mr. Todd?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Tiffany Holman Best, Deputy Superintendent, and Dr. Kevin Beckner, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching, Learning, and Accountability. to talk
Good
about-
evening, President Todd, Vice President Hopper, Dr. Marty, and Mrs. Stover, and fellow board members. It's our pleasure to come before you to present to you the completed comprehensive school improvement plan for 25-26 school year. I will say that under Dr. Marty's leadership, it has been a pleasure working on our strategic plan and getting to the point we are with CSIP. We have appreciated every ounce of your support, encouragement, and challenge us to do amazing things for our young people, so thank you. This is our beloved Gantt chart that we've kept in front of you all year. Last year, we kept hexagons in front of you, and this year it's a Gantt chart. And so just keeping in mind that we are talking about this evening approving all of the work for the 25-26 school year, which starts in the middle of a Gantt chart. Just revisiting, we have not changed our objective areas from student success in school, student success in life, and resources for student success. And so the goal areas that we presented to you last month we're here on this slide, and Kevin's going to come and explain to you where we are going and for the 25-26 school year, because we have updated our goals since we were last before you, which you received in a memo last Friday.
With all of the amazing words about Dr. Marty that are all so well deserved, one thing we didn't get to do is talk about some of the work that's been happening recently. So even though we have a lot of words and numbers on paper, I do want to let you know, Monday through Friday of this week, we had 311 different certified staff members show up to work on Parkway curriculum. It was our first ever curriculum boot camp where we brought together people from across grade levels, across content areas, to really work on some of our, not on this slide, this is objectives, but our key actions, one of which is really tightening up our curriculum so we can be really clear about what students need to know in all of our classes. They did amazing work. They worked hard for 3 consecutive days. We certainly appreciated them with things like lunch and having snacks out and providing childcare and all these things. But even with that, the fact that so many of our certified educators would give up so much of their time during the summer months was a testament to how important this work is, the dedication of our staff, how much they believe in the work, and what great products came out of that will benefit our students once those things are put into action. Then on Thursday and Friday of last week, we had over 400 staff members show up for a different event called RTI at Work, which is about building out one of our key strategies in the strategic plan, which is, it's labeled, all that other work I talked about was S1, student success in school, our first strategy. Second strategy is about building out our multi-tiered system of support. And so we had a 2-day event led by one of our partners called Solution Tree, who came and presented and led our building MTSS leadership teams through developing their teams. So I just want to take a moment to appreciate that we had so many dedicated staff members who showed up last week, even though they just completed a very long school year and were very tired and certainly need their rest and rejuvenation. We still had amazing participation and just wanted to appreciate and acknowledge our dedicated staff who've shown up to do this work to improve Parkway and make sure our students are getting what they need. So just wanted to mention that briefly. I will not go through all the numbers on the slide, but we do want to let you know, with the help of Carter Snow, who will be presenting here momentarily, about the assessment plan. We have looked at all of our data from this past year and identified new objectives for this coming school year. We did meet some of our objectives, and then others we did not. As Tiffany and I shared with you earlier in the year, our fall to winter NWA scores, for example, we had met that fall to winter growth goal already mid-year, but then we take it again, and we just completed that. And unfortunately, we didn't quite meet some of our objectives in those areas. But we are still aiming for our students, as we're doing all that work around curriculum, around our MTSS system, about supporting our kids, all the social emotional work that ties into all that happens in the classroom. We are still trying to set high standards and keep several of these objectives the same, around growth, that we need to continue ensuring high growth for our students, around closing achievement gaps, so we need to close those gaps. And we have added an objective specifically about our multi-tiered system of supports to help all of our students. Which is that last one, that all of our schools have rubrics that they're looking at where they're scoring themselves for how well are we establishing this work, how well are we following through on that. Though that'll be new this year, we'll be setting a new baseline objective to make sure that our schools are in fact making the kind of progress that they want to make and that we can support them in doing so. Number 4 is also new as well. We instituted our first social emotional survey last year. And we had our friends in Student Services and Dr. Matheson's team really look through that survey in detail to identify what do we want to measure to see if we're making the kind of strides that we want to social emotionally to support all of our students. So these are some of our new objectives, as Dr. Holman Best mentioned, that you received last week. We did the same in student success in life. We do have our first key district action coming on board this coming school year around student success in life, and that's we are launching a real-world relevance task force to try to identify how do we do these things that are in our strategic plan. So we've identified some objectives around those things, like our students reporting that their learning is connected to life outside the classroom, that we want to continue to see that it's not just they're doing well in school, but am I making the kind of connections outside of school that we want to make? Or that students say that coming to school is meaningful for them. We still have a large number of our students who aren't saying that, and we want to close that because we want school to not just be, again, kids are achieving, but they're finding value and meaning in the work that they're doing. And we have not yet identified an objective because we're not yet on the work in the strategic plan around our vision for a learner and how we acknowledge that. But we'll continue to keep that here so that when we get to that point, we're sure to develop those objectives so that we can monitor our progress around that. Around resources, we also have objectives, which is that third focus area. We want our staff to continue, and our students and our families to continue to say our facilities are really meeting our needs. And we want to continue to monitor that and see. We do have questions on our Parkway annual survey about that so that we can monitor that. Dr. Balgas and his team are launching some task forces this coming year around certified staff and completing third-party evaluation of our operations, staffing, and some of our pay in those areas. So we'll be developing some objectives to identify those pieces in our CSIP. And then on our key district actions, these have not substantially changed since the last time you've seen this. So these are all largely the same actions that we talked about in previous work sessions or during our workshop earlier in the year. Dr. Hollenbest, anything else we need to add? All right, we'd be happy to take any questions that you have.
I'll just acknowledge the work of the MTSS matter as well. It's so comprehensive, and what I really like in the explanation about that you all put together was that it said belief in all. And that is the number one thing that we have to do, is believe that all students can learn, that we can help teach them to be the successful students that they are. So I'm just very pleased and proud of this district for embarking on this, and to see that we're doing it at a building level, having a leadership team, right, in every building doing this is just incredible. And so thank you to everybody who's involved in all of that activity.
I just want to, Kevin is right, I'm glad he did take some time, because I was going to say something about the boot camp and the work on Thursday and Friday, but isn't it amazing, and when I talk to peers, because we've been doing for several years, we sound like we used that last week at Schools Out, and for our educators to come together in the numbers they do, and they were enthused last week. I mean, there was genuine hard work, enthusiasm. We're pretty fortunate to have our teachers, and I think it's because of the leadership we have that they have a purpose and a real reason, and of course, a good mission and a real good plan for them to really move forward on and follow up on. So thanks so much, both of you, for last week. I thought it was a really productive week.
Thank you. So may I have a motion and a second, the Board of Education approve the school year 25-26 Comprehensive School Improvement Plan as presented in the June 11th, 2025 Board Meeting materials.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next up, we'd like to invite Carter Snow, our Director of Assessment and Continuous Improvement, to join us at the podium.
Good evening. President Todd, Vice President Hopper, members of the board, Mrs. Stover, and of course, one last time, Dr. Marty. I know I thank you privately, but I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you publicly for your leadership, for taking a chance on me as a leader, but also for doing what is right, not always what is easy for each and every child in this district. So thank you.
I feel like that we haven't taken much of a chance. You've done a great job.
We'll wait till I speak. My official business here tonight is to present to you the 25-26 Comprehensive Assessment Plan for your approval. Each year, this plan is submitted to ensure we have a balanced assessment system that ensures our students and educators have the information needed to foster student achievement and growth. The data we gather from these assessments helps us understand student progress towards mastering learning standards, curriculum attainment, and achieving goals outlined in our strategic plan, which you just heard more about from Dr. Holman-Bess and Dr. Beckner. This year's plan is designed to build upon successes and strategies we put in place this school year. It will continue to provide robust support for students in several key areas, ensuring students have assessments to promote development of strong foundational reading skills, helping students meet and exceed their achievement and growth goals, and supporting students in acquiring valuable skills and credentials for their future through college and career readiness assessments. The cornerstone of our assessment approach remains teacher-provided assessments. These provide critical real-time data on student learning, enabling us promptly to address diverse learning needs within the classroom. By implementing this comprehensive assessment plan, we'll be able to closely monitor student progress, quickly identify and respond to areas requiring improvement, and importantly, celebrate successes with all stakeholders. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have a question. I don't remember the software, but how will all of the assessments be tracked in order to determine the students that are needing the additional help?
Yeah, it's a great question. So obviously with many different assessments come many different assessment platforms and data platforms. So what we try to do in Parkway is gather all of that data into one warehouse, with the help of Mr. Brooks and his team, of course, and present that visually in an attainable way to all of our educators. And so we do so through Tableau, but we've also brought on EduClimber as an additional tool to help present that data and then allow for kind of some at-risk analysis to know which students might be needing additional math help, reading help. It might be attendance concern that start to bubble up so that we can be preventative and proactive in supporting students. And so really thinking that as one comprehensive ecosystem where teachers don't have to go to multiple different platforms to get the data they need, but they can go to one place is the goal.
quick question, I don't know if you can answer this or not, but if not, if you need time, that's fine. But at one point, we had learned that NWEA was of some question at the DESI level to continue on. Do we know anything about the status of that, and are we confident that we can continue with NWEA? We're gonna have to do some other evaluations.
So specifically, it comes to screening for students' foundational reading skills as well as dyslexia. And so the state has gone through multiple processes to approve assessment vendors and platforms that meet their requirements. Initially, although NWEA was initially approved, and that's why we purchased it and was approved by you, the following year, the state said it was no longer on the approved list. And so working with a vendor and working with the state, they have allowed for us to continue to use NWEA as they go through another approval process and submission process next school year. So we're monitoring that very closely. We started to look at other available options this school year so we can be in a good, firm place to be ready to switch if we need to. But specifically, that is really not just NWEA as we use it in K through 10th grade. That's looking specifically at NWEA reading fluency, which is primarily a K through 3rd grade assessment. So we hope, because we are getting good feedback from teachers about that assessment, they like it, they think it's providing the right assessment data about their students, that the state approves that. But we anticipate that decision in fall.
Thank you.
So we're good for this coming year, NWA?
Absolutely, we are good, and that is part of the plan for this year.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second that the Board of Education approve the 25-26 Comprehensive Assessment Plan as presented in the June 11th, 2025 Board meeting materials.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Do you have anything additional to share with us before we approve the purchase of the assessment tool?
No, simply that now that that plan has been approved, there are 2 assessments that need to be purchased annually and require your approval. One of those being the ACT, which we purchased for all juniors, as well as the pre-ACT for all sophomores. That estimated cost is $98,000, as well as the AP exams that allow students to achieve potentially and earn college credit. While those exams are funded by students, there's an estimated $275,000 that will be spent from Parkway activity accounts for those students as well.
Okay. Any questions on those? May I have a motion and a second the Board of Education approves ordering materials and scoring services for the following assessments. The ACT state and district ACT testing, estimated at $98,000, to be paid from the 2026 assessment program budget. The funds for the AP exam, estimated at $275,500, will come from the 2026 Parkway High School activity accounts.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
I'll be second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much, Carr. Next, please welcome Dr. Kevin Matheson. Dr. Greg Matheson, sorry, I'm crossing my assistant.
Can't all be Kevins.
You know, I've been called other things before. Kevin Matheson is not one of them. Thank you, though, I think.
Greg Beckner, Kevin Matheson.
I'll take it. Just don't call me late to dinner. That's fine. Thank you. President Todd, Vice President Hopper, distinguished board members, Dr. Marty and Mrs. Stover. I would be remiss to not say something also about Dr. Marty. Dr. Marty, you are awesome. I look forward to this upcoming January when I get a chance to call you when my Minnesota Vikings win their first Super Bowl. And that conversation will be fun. But I do think a lot of people have said some incredible things, but thank you for taking a risk on me. For the leadership that you've instilled in many of us, the encouragement, the friendship, and for helping me move some furniture recently as well, and showing me that you still have quite a bit of farmer's muscle left in you. So, and I think Dee Dee's going to put you to work pretty good here soon.
If you need help, Matheson Movers is pretty good.
Yes, I've got a truck and can move if anyone needs help, so no problem. But anyway, no, thank you in all seriousness, Dr. Marty, for your leadership, for your friendship, for the team that you've assembled. We do have an awesome team of leaders within this district, and most importantly, for always putting our kids first. Always putting our kids first, and that trickles down to everything and all the decisions that we make. Now, speaking of putting our kids first, we're here because in April, we talked about our cell phone policy and our board and the work that we did throughout this year and the cell phone study that we did. And I don't want to rewind the tape to that. And we made a decision to create a new policy here in Parkway. And that new policy is a great new policy. But I'm here today for our new policy to talk about because since April, the Missouri legislature passed in bipartisan legislation on May 13th to revise some statutes and actually have districts have to redo policies around cell phones. And so, Board, I know you have a memo that was given to you from me and Dr. Greg Wagner, but I do publicly want to kind of read a couple things so the public understands why we're back here today discussing some of this new legislation. What does that mean for us as a school district? So I'm going to put my glasses on to read this. We'll get to the policy part and what the changes mean, but this is part of the new legislation. So new legislation was passed on May 13th of 2025. Now the governor still, as of today, has not signed this legislation. The governor does have until June 30th to sign it into law, but all indications show that he will sign this into law. Therefore, Parkway should revise the current policy JG-R1.BP to be in a line for 25-26 school year. The new policy simplifies our language and aligns it with state law and will universally affect all of the grade levels, K through 12. Our previous new policy was K through 8 and 9 through 12. The new law is written below. I'm going to read a portion of what this new legislation says around section 162.207. I'll read it again for the public that's watching here too. But it says, beginning in 25-26 school year, each district and charter school shall adopt a written policy regarding students' possession or use of electronic personal communication devices. Such a policy shall be designed to promote students' educational interests and ensure a safe, effective working environment for staff and volunteers. The Act defines an electronic personal communication device as portable device that is used to initiate, receive, store, or view communication, information, images, or data electronically. At a minimum, the policy shall prohibit students from using or displaying these devices from the beginning until the end of the school day, including but not limited to during instructional time, meal times, breaks, time between classes, and study halls. The policy shall also outline disciplinary procedures for violations and include exceptions for students who need devices due to specific educational or health needs, such as individualized education plans or 504 plans under federal law. Exceptions may also allow device uses in emergencies as defined in the Act or for authorized educational purposes. Now, the law does go into more details and quite a bit of other things. So what we are proposing that you have, and it's on the screen as well, is the new revised policies. It has gone to our attorneys for review as well to ensure that the language that we have would be in alignment to what the state legislature has proposed. And if I can point everybody to the screens here, this is taking our old new policy, and this is the proposed policy under the changes that the state legislature has put. We would be crossing out elementary schools and middle schools, grades K through 12, and removing all the high school grades 9 through 12 language because it is now redundant. We would be under one policy for all students in Parkway. And what we would need to do is change from personal electronic devices, that gets crossed out, and add the language electronic personal communication devices, as you see in red. Why? Because that's the language used in the state law that, again, isn't law yet. It's pending the governor's signature or the date after June 30th for it to become law. Then from here, again, it does talk about the prohibition for the entire school day, including arrival, and it also talks about the use or display, which means it's not just having it and using it, it is if it's out. If it is visible, it's out, it's displayed, it is not allowed. Again, that does parallel what this legislation states. during any time from arrival to the end of the day. And then the electronic personal communications in red, we do want to highlight electronic personal communications devices. We felt it was wise of us to write this into policy so families do know what this actually by definition is. And it is defined as any portable device that is used to initiate, receive, store, or view communication information, images, or data electronically. That is what the state definition is, but we put a comma. This is our language now from here, and includes, for example, cell phones, iPads, and smartwatches. The reason why we added that is for clarity for our families to give examples of what this could be. So it could be cell phones, it could be iPads, could be smartwatches, could be a lot of different things that are used. Exceptions to this prohibition may be authorized in order to comply with federal or state laws, such as to comply with students' IEPs or 504 plans. This also includes anything that could be a health plan or anything like that as well. So again, our attorneys have looked at this. They do feel it's in compliance with what this is. And being that it's June and we need to be able to have this potentially approved per your approval so we can get this into our student handbooks and our student discipline codes so that by August that we're able to do this. Dr. Beckner's been working with, and Dr. Holman-Bess as well, with our principals and myself. They know about these changes, they're aware of them, they understand them, working on how this is going to be enacted within the schools. We do appreciate the support from the state. We do think that there were going to be some bumps in the road here with students and understanding, but we've got to be consistent, we have to be compliant, and we think this is going to be in the best interest of the education within our walls of the school.
Just when we thought passing notes was a thing of the past.
It's, hey, we got to learn how to fold those pieces of paper real nice.
I just have one question. If for some strange reason the governor does not sign this bill, will we keep this new revision of the policy in place, or would we walk it back to the prior approved one?
Keep it in place.
That's the plan?
But you're right, all indications are he's gonna sign it.
All indications, it seemed, all indications are that it will be signed or go to the June 30th by July 1st, whether it's signed or not, it becomes law. It's also part of a much bigger bill, and it had pretty significant bipartisan thing. We do actually feel that this is a step, it is a step forward actually into reducing the distractions that could be had 9 through 12. K through 8 really was under this already.
So I have a question. So in the law that you read, section 207, it talks about the exceptions, and I thought we had that in the policy before besides the IEP, but I'm not seeing it now in regards to like using it with the teacher's permission for a class assignment or something like that. Or is that part of our teacher procedures?
I had that same question, and I think, but we may need to, where it says, or is used without permission during school hours. But to your point, I had the same question.
So where it says here, it says on the second sentence in the policy, students must keep all devices powered off and stored in backpacks or designated areas determined by the administration. Any device that disrupts the learning environment or is used without permission. So if that is, then that is then interpreted as being used without permission would be, they are allowed to use it if they were given permission.
Well, I kind of think that needs to be cleaned up, just because if you say "or used without permission," you're implying a scenario where permission is granted and not, I guess, stating who's authorized to give permission and under what circumstances. I think it kind of puts our teachers in a tough spot.
Well, I think that having that provision in there that they could be given permission gives the teachers flexibility if they have something that somebody has to scan a QR code to participate in a poll or something like that. And students would still have access to their Chromebooks, right?
Correct.
Yeah, but this doesn't seem to leave room for the use of a phone in some sort of curricular situation, which is, I think, what you're suggesting, right?
I prefer the language that's in the legislation.
Which is
as far as the-
authorized educational purposes.
Yeah. I think the hardest part about this is gonna be enforcement.
It will be.
The less chances there are for anything to be misunderstood, the better.
Can I just,
Kevin coming.
And I
Kevin's
apologize,
got
I
it.
didn't catch that before, so.
Yeah, I won't speak to the policy. Obviously, Dr. Matheson can speak to that, but what I can speak to is how we've been talking with our teachers about that. And we've had, as Dr. Matheson mentioned, we've been working all year with a small group of teachers to help us think through and problem solve what might this look like. This has been, teacher use has been a very explicit question that we've tried to address with that team of teachers, specifically how tight or how loose, because Mr. Seltzer, you just said enforcement is kind of the key piece. So we have put that out to our staff. We've even surveyed our staff on that. So our staff is very well aware that this is a potential challenge for us in how we allow that use to happen. Again, not speaking to the policy, but just so the board knows, we've been having that conversation very openly with our staff. Specifically, are we going to trust our teachers' professional judgment that if you have something going on in your classroom that students do need their phone? We keep using the example, for example, of journalism. If you're going to interview somebody and wanting to record that interview really quick, carrying your Chromebook around is really not practical, like in a situation like that. Does that teacher have the ability to make that decision on their own? Should they notify their administrator when they do that? We have various, levels of feelings about that among teachers. There are even some staffs at some school that they don't want anybody to make exceptions and never let them use it, but we know that we have to come up with a clear procedure. So from the procedure side, not the policy side, I would just say, know that we are meeting with that group again on Monday. We're meeting virtually to continue now that we have the new law. And some policy language, depending what you all do tonight. We'll be continuing that conversation with them, just in light of, here's the language in the law. If we have the policy language tonight, then we would say, here's the language in the policy, then we would make that procedure based on whatever is in that policy and in the law.
So in the law, it references, I think the term is authorized educational purposes. I just think if you somehow shoehorn that phrase into our policy, you're gonna be covered.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, I think the issue potentially could be you have a teacher who gives permission to a class to use their cell phones. And it may not be for educational purposes. And if somebody finds out, our policy is not really in adherence with the law.
To follow up on that, for instance, I think we need to use that phrase for authorized educational purposes in our policy and then give some guidance or examples or something along those lines so that it is unequivocal what we are allowing, because, some cool teacher might decide, like, I'm the guy, that you can use it, it's an educational purpose, because I feel like I respect what you're saying, the teachers have been briefed, and I get that everybody gets it, but I just think our policy needs to be firmed up, just so that the expectations are clear for everyone. What is an authorized educational purpose? It's not, everybody's done with their work, so, look at your phones.
Okay.
go ahead, Jeff, yeah.
Could we table this for tonight?
Yes.
We have a scheduled meeting on Monday. Would that be enough time to
Yes.
revise it?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
It would not be too difficult to be able to add certain language here. I've got a meeting with one of our attorneys on Friday already about something else. I can draft something, have her look at it, be prepared to bring that on Monday.
Okay.
And if we're
Absolutely.
changing language, I think you take out iPad and replace it with tablet or something that's not a specific product.
Got it.
Yeah.
And we're not even an Apple school district, so that's a good point. No.
I would just say, I think it's a good discussion. I think, I look at Elisa back there. The really important piece, we can have a policy, it's how we're gonna communicate the things that Kevin just talked about to both our staff, administrators, and then just as importantly, to our students and community. That's gonna be the real challenge, be really, real clear. So that's gonna be, once you approve this, then it's really being, like you say, you want to get this now so we can start that work in July and into the start of the school year.
Yeah, I have no problem changing it, and I appreciate the feedback, and that's why we go through this process. I think the process is to get multiple eyes on it and have an opportunity. I wish I would have seen this before coming, had this change before that, but, so I apologize. I missed that, but we'll get it changed and we'll have it there for Monday.
So while we're changing things,
Oh, boy. I've only got a black pen. I need to get a red pen. Someone give me a red pen. Thanks, Carter.
initially under the high school, we included during passing periods as when they could use it, but we're not including it as including passing periods when they cannot use it, like it says in the legislation.
It doesn't hurt to throw that in the list, right? I mean, the entire school day is pretty comprehensive, but if we're gonna go ahead and identify parts of the school day anyway, you might as well throw that in there.
But that was, they could use it during passing periods, and now it's, they can't use it at all, so I.
Yes,
I
but
don't
in
know
the
if-
legislation, it points out the passing periods as well. So it says including but not limited to, and then gives a list.
Yeah, it says instructional time, meal time, which I know we added, which is in ours.
I can use more of the legislation language than try to take our old language and
Yeah.
retrofit it, and that's what I try to do, is take the language that was already approved, retrofit it, versus incorporate more of the legislative language, and so I can make that as a change in a proposal. I can get a memo to you guys on Friday.
All right, and to that end,
Sorry.
That's okay.
okay.
That's all right.
The language is not consistent to me. Students must keep all devices powered off and stored in backpacks or designated areas. Great. However, any device that disrupts the learning or is used without permission, that's a subset of what conduct might violate the first part. If it's supposed to be in your backpack or in a certain area and it's in your pocket, or if it's on your desk, but it's not disrupting, or it's not being used, you see, there's things that violate the rule that are not mentioned as what will incur some sort of discipline. So if the rule is keep it in your backpack and it never gets seen, then the next sentence should be any device that gets seen or is not being stored where it's supposed to be or is not powered off is subject to confiscation. Because as written, this means you've got to cause a disruption or be using your phone to run afoul of this policy, even though the policy bans conduct that is not that.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
It was meant also to be in addition to, because of, you could have your phone in your backpack that is not seen displayed, that is now going off and it's causing a disruption. So we wanted to add language that has disruptive, that is causing a disruption that may be not a display, or they're not using it, but it is going off.
But understand, if it's going off, it's clearly not powered off. So that can be, the trigger is anything.
I lose an
that is-
argument to an attorney.
No, I'm not trying to argue, I'm just trying to make sure that someday we're gonna be in a disciplinary hearing and some kid's gonna say, pointing out that they didn't necessarily break the, we might as well have it on both sides. If the rule is it's in your backpack and it's turned off, then the conduct that's prohibited, or, what subjects you to punishment is not doing the thing that the policy says you can't do.
We're not gonna force kids to use a backpack.
Whatever, but if it's supposed to be powered off and it's powered on,
Or designated areas.
and if the rule is it has to cause a disruption or be used, then we're not really having a full ban, because if you're not causing a disruption and it's out, you're not subject to confiscation or discipline. See what I'm saying?
But I guess, why would they be? If it is in a designated area, let's say it's on, and it
Because
doesn't go off.
Because the rule is it can't be on.
Well, and that was my question too, about the matter of being powered off. If they have it on do not disturb, or they want to charge it up while they're in school so that it's available and ready the moment that they can turn it on. I mean, how are we going to monitor it being powered off?
Can we get rid of the powered off? I mean, that's not in the legislation. So, I mean, the legislation is using or displaying devices.
Right.
Then
If
I
it's
would
in
go
their
with-
backpack on because a parent wants to see where their kid is with GPS,
That's true.
like that's not,
Tracking them, yeah.
that's not against the spirit of the legislation. I think it just needs to be reworded based on the legislation more than retrofitting. Because, and I don't think we need to go any worse than the legislation in a sense, and say it has to be powered off.
But you can still, and then I think to that point, if you take the powered off out, and then instead of saying any disruption or use without permission triggers, these consequences, it's any violation of this policy triggers consequences. And it can be any violation, including causing a disruption or using your phone, et cetera, et cetera. But it needs to be consistent on both sides of, the rule and the consequence.
So what I will do is I will
You want more?
He will
find
make
a
this a shared
shredder.
document.
I will find a shredder and I will start over. And call the governor. No, I say this that part jokingly, but in all seriousness, we'll go back a little bit to the drawing board. I will, instead of retrofitting, I think that's probably the best part. And instead of trying to redline an old policy, start with a new, under the legislation. I'll write that up, have our attorneys look at it Friday. Board memo may be later in Friday. Just please understand that. Then get that to you with new language. Please give me feedback over the weekend, and then Monday we can bring it to the board in that Monday meeting that we do have, and then possibly see if we can get an approval there.
And while we're nitpicking you mentioned about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is actually played in February, not January.
Well, here's the deal. Mr. Seltzer. My team has never been in the Super Bowl since I've been alive, so I would not know this known fact. So, I do know that, but thank you, sir. I
Vikings
appreciate
usually
it.
don't play in December.
Vikings usually are out by then. This is true. And for those listening, Dr. Marty's a huge Packers fan, and I love the Vikings, so we do love to go back and forth on that. I do appreciate your feedback. If there's other things that you think of or you read tonight or tomorrow, please shoot me an email and let me know. But I will come back. And what we're ultimately doing is we're trying to make sure we're within the guidelines of the legislation, that we are protecting the instructional time, ensuring that our kids are engaged in the classrooms, that we give clear guidance to our families, clear guidance to the students, and we give clear guidance to our teachers in the classroom. And we'll have that. We'll have it perfectly done. Things will be right, and then we'll be ready for August.
Do we need to, I'm sorry, do we need to say
I just
anything
try to clean that
about
up.
buses? Like, the buses are okay for students?
Buses
to-
are okay.
That would be an assumption based upon the fact it's only on arrival and
If
dismissal.
if it's silent on the matter, then I would
Correct.
presume that it would be okay.
It is okay.
right?
It is okay. It's in our procedures. It's already been discussed with our
Okay.
principals. That came even from our discussion back in April here, that has got to be consistent. That is still true. It's going to be consistent in all of our buildings. The discipline will be consistent within our levels. That's all still true. Same thing with buses, that students will still be allowed to use their devices on the buses and transportation.
To that end, and this isn't just to keep, you might, when you rewrite this, define the entire school day. It starts, with the bell, or it starts when you enter the parking lot, whatever it is you want to do, but I think we need to define it because, is being on your phone in the parking lot okay? Is texting as you park okay? I think, well, whatever. Can you sit in your car before or after school on your phone? Is that, I assume it's fine, but I think we should.
I think if we align it with the legislation, I think we'll be in good shape.
I would define the school day, though.
You said no harsher.
Nikki, thank you, has rewritten our motion to table this.
Okay?
So, we'll be glad to get your comment afterwards.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you then.
So at this time, we have a motion and a second that the Board of Education table the policy update due to legislative changes for policy JG-R1.BP until the next board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
I don't think we've ever tabled anything.
We've tabled that.
Have we? All right.
We just wanted to make sure this was a first for Dr. Marty. Thank you.
Next up, I'd like to invite Mr. Jason Rooks, Executive Director of Operations, to share with us the facilities 2050 update.
So I believe I'm the last speaker before the end of Dr. Marty's board meeting. So let the filibuster begin. 300 slides. No, this will be a very brief update on Facilities 2050. As we started the school year, we looked at previous Project Parkway feedback and some of what we were experiencing in the first weeks of school. And this image, I feel like, represents what our classrooms felt like. Too hot, too cold, too wet, very traditional classrooms with uncomfortable desks and rows. And really, I felt this image, and I've used this in previous slideshows, captured what we were trying to fix with Facilities 2050. So, stealing from Dr. Beckner, which I frequently like to do, I put together this graphic that really I felt organizes the work of Facilities 2050 and helps us conceptualize where it lives in Parkway. We are beneath, but always aligned with our strategic plan, whether we're looking at the student success in life, student success in school, or resources for student success. Facilities 2050 is built from two committees, a core committee, which is an internal committee looking at those quick, easy wins and looking at internal process improvements for our schools as they interact with as we support our facilities in schools. And then our steering committee, which did the heavy lifting this year, which is made up of our community board members as well as staff members, really working on that long-range vision for facilities revitalization. And underneath Facilities 2050, we're already starting some of this work. Prop S, 2022 bond, we had a lot of conversation early on around what is that relationship between Facilities 2050 and Prop S. And we really do feel that they inform each other. Facilities 2050 is going to inform some of the future work we're doing with our Prop S work, and Prop S is going to guide some of the decisions we make regarding Facilities 2050. We also have our ECC work group, which is looking at how we can improve our ECC setup in the South area, as obviously that relates to our ECC work we've done previously as part of Prop S and the ECC work that Facilities 2050 is going to do. And then we also have our Project Flex, which is looking at furniture in the classroom, a pilot being led by our teaching, learning, and accountability with our teachers. What does that next generation of classroom furniture look like? What does that next generation of classroom look like? So that when Facilities 2050 is ready to make some big moves or some big changes within the district, we can fill those classrooms with more than just our traditional desks and tables. So really quick, the work of this past year, as I said, the steering committee did a lot of the heavy lifting. We did a lot of setting of the stage, kind of building around what is Facilities 2050 going to do. We identified some of our values, and we started defining our goals. One of the things I really enjoyed about the steering committee this year was the flexibility we provided of bringing in community members as we went along with this journey. We added a community member towards the end of this year based on their interest they voiced to the board here as part of a citizen statement. We've brought on other community members who have interests who have been integral in helping the conversation move forward. Our superintendent's action team has been very active in the conversation around Facilities 2050 and the work that we're doing, as well as presenting as part of key communicators, the work we're doing, the work we're planning with Facilities 2050 and how we're going to move forward. So really getting that teacher voice or that school-based voice in the conversation. The work for the coming year. Our steering committee work continues. In fact, it's not going to get any lighter. I think we're actually going to ramp it up a bit. We're going to work on doing a facilities assessment, looking at all of our current buildings. What is the state of our electrical, HVAC, plumbing, and other internal systems? We're looking at getting a demographic study off the ground to see what does our district look like and how is it changing. We are going to get that core committee off the ground with our, hopefully led by our new facilities director, Matt Ferfaro, who will be starting on July 1st, and we're really excited to have him on board. And we are going to try to get outside the district a little bit and do some tours of some facilities that we know kind of align with those values that we defined this year as part of our steering committee work.
And our goal at the end of this coming school year is to have a complete facilities revitalization plan. So the common misconception that we ran into this year, and one that I've already had conversations with our communications department that we're going to have to combat going into this coming year, is the misconception that why are we waiting until 2050 to start revitalization? And the reality is that we're not. Facilities 2050 revitalization has already begun, and some of those things that I've outlined, and will be taking off immediately after we finish that facilities revitalization plan. Now, some of the bigger work obviously is going to happen further out as we look at potentially expanding buildings, building new buildings. That's going to take time and planning to go around that, and funding as well. And so that will be further down the timeline. But we're not waiting to 2050 to start anything. This work has already started. It will be happening every year going forward, in small and large bites as we go. And so, to conclude, I wanted to issue a special thank you to Dr. Marty. And so this is my tribute to him. The first time I met Dr. Marty face-to-face, we were in the hallway at the admin building. He stopped me and he said, "Hi, who are you?" and shook my hand. And I was shocked. I stumbled over my words for a few seconds and I introduced myself. "I'm Jason Rooks. I'm part of the technology department." He smiled, shook my hand again, patted me on the back and said, "Oh, I thought you were a high school student," and walked on. I was a little bewildered, didn't know quite how to take that. I took it as a compliment, but I honestly don't think anyone would mistake me for a high school student at this point in my career.
You were young.
Yeah, I was young at the time. And then it may have been 2 or 3 days after the board approved my role as executive director of operations last year, earlier in the month of May, that Dr. Marty called me into his conference room and said, "Hey, Jason, we're going to do this thing called Facilities 2050, and I want you to lead it." And my first thought was, what did I get myself into? But Dr. Marty, I want you to know that we'll never forget that you started this work, and your initiative, your excitement around this, your guidance over the past year is going to carry us over the next 25 years and is going to benefit us beyond 2050, the Parkway students and staff. And so I want to thank you for all the guidance you've provided me in the time that you've been here and allowing me to take on this challenge of Facilities 2050 and move it forward.
Well, Jason, you didn't read the small print because you actually have to hang around to 2050. Get it all done. But I really appreciate all the work you've done, and I think the board does too. And it's going to be exciting. What you've outlined and got us going is great. So good luck.
So with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
When's the first meeting? In the fall?
That is on my to-do list for next week. Okay. So Dr. Holman-Bess and Dr. Beckner have been amazing in letting me kind of commandeer the Project Parkway Steering Committee. And so I've actually, on my to-do list is to get Dr. Holman-Bess the dates that I would like for next year and start laying those into place.
I know we're all looking forward to the facilities visits in August.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Not all of us.
That's very exciting. Thank you for all the hard work you're putting into this.
Thank you.
All right, I have nothing further on my agenda, so may I have a motion and a second to adjourn the regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.